Okay, hello and welcome to our series on where to start. So today we're covering beginners jogging. So with me I've got Matt Roby, who's a qualified jog leader and run director for Corby Parkrun. I'm Sarah Harvey from Northamptonshire Sport. Okay Matt, so tell me your story, where it all started for you and how you got into running.
So about 8 years ago I changed jobs, and maybe a bit longer than that. I was sitting down more, not moving around as much. Was feeling terribly unfit, so I joined one of your beginners groups here in Corby under the Jog North scheme, put on by yourself. That's the first time we met Sarah, Tuesday nights, and that was it. Yeah, a group of us, all adults, all should have known much better about looking after ourselves, but hadn't. Yeah, led by two other leaders, put us through the Couch to 5K series, and that was good, and came out the other end. And then on the back of that, we went to 10K, and then as a group, and the leaders stopped for the winter, we carried on running as a group. We just carried on and ploughed on. That was the year that Parkrun started here as well, so it gave us something to run at a weekend. And yeah, I suppose the rest is history. So the following year, I'd entered some local events, and that was my plan for the year. Was I was going to try lots of little local things. There's lots of running events around here, and I was put onto a multi-terrain mud race over in Urchester Park, and that was it. I saw you there, you were running.
I remember, yeah.
And you suggested that I perhaps look at leadership, which seemed a bit odd at the time, as I was only a beginner. I'd been a beginner myself, but your view was that being a beginner, I'd understood what had gone on, and you convinced me. So yeah, I did my leaders course that year and started leading the same year, and I've not looked back. So I've been running 8 years now, leading 7. And then also that kind of led on to running at Parkrun, and because Parkrun needs volunteers, I'd volunteer, and then it turned out I much prefer volunteering at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning than I do running. And so 2 years ago I took over as event director, and now we have 2 event directors, so between myself and Emily we're responsible for putting the event on a Saturday morning.
And so alongside Parkrun, you run a successful beginners jogging
We do,
group
yeah,
in Corby,
here
don't
in
you?
Corby, yeah.
Started back up again now, haven't you?
We have. Now lockdown's easing off, we're getting back, so we're just starting to get big groups back, but we've still managed to do a little bit of beginners work last year, but it'd be good to get a big beginners group going later in the year when everyone's back. But our main focus this year has been getting our existing runners back out and back on the roads, really, so all good.
Okay, so you said you're involved quite heavily in Corby Parkrun,
Yep.
You're run director, so tell us about Parkrun, what is it and how people can get involved?
So Parkrun's all-inclusive, free-to-enter 5K event that's put on around the country every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock, yeah, everywhere. So this is Westcliffe Park in Corby. This is the site of the Corby Parkrun. You can come, you can walk, you can run it, you can come and volunteer. So if you don't want to run and you just want to get out, come along. Friendly atmosphere, you'll get a whole range of abilities, from really good club runners to just social runners to walkers, dog walkers, people with pushchairs, kids, and yeah, that's it. So it doesn't cost to enter, but you just need to register and get a barcode. Go to the Parkrun's website, you'll get an individual barcode, you print it out and bring it with you, and that's all we need, and then we can keep a log of all your times for you, you can access them, all your PBs, and then you get milestone t-shirts for doing so many. They're all 5K, they're all measured, and once you're registered for Parkrun, you can go to wherever you like and take part. So in Northamptonshire, we've got 2 in Northampton, so Racecourse and one at Sixfields at Upton. There's Daventry, Urchester Country Park, Kettering, and here, Corby, yeah, 4 ones. And then there's also, on Sunday mornings, there's a locations for junior Parkruns, which is for children up to 14. It's only 2K, but yes, same principle.
Oh, brilliant. So people can just turn up one week but not the next, you don't have to commit to every week?
No, that's the beauty of it, because you don't need to book. We have a rough idea of how many numbers we turn up, but have a look. Each Parkrun's got their own website, tells you a bit about the course, a bit about the local rules, whether you're allowed dogs, whether you're not allowed dogs, and then the instructions for briefing. Most Parkrun sites have got their own Facebook page as well, so you can always find us on there. But turn up, listen to the instructions and the local rules, and then we'll get you going and get you running, and then just go and enjoy yourself.
Oh, brilliant. So it sounds like it's something that's ideal for people that are starting off on their running journey, if they're completely beginners.
And I get people find that quite intimidating, because you will get some faster runners, but come along and see it. We don't mind. If it takes you an hour and you're going to walk it, we'll still be a timing you in at the end.
That's
so,
okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So Matt, tell us how running's helped you. Has it helped you kind of with day-to-day stresses, you know, and a bit of stress release, or any struggles you've gone through in life? And yeah, how's running helped you?
For me, Sarah, it's an escape. So I spend a lot of time, well, until this last year, I spent a lot of time in the car. I do over 35,000 business miles a year, so a lot of my time sat down. So for me, the running out and just getting a bit of headspace, time to think, and it's a social time as well. I tend to run in a group and you can catch up with friends because we're all busy during the week. So yeah, headspace, time to think, get some air in the lungs, a bit of exercise. Yeah, and it's led on to do other things as well. So for me, it's a great thing, yeah, and just to get out and forget about everything else for a while.
So throughout your time as a run leader, park run director for Park Run, you've obviously come across a lot of beginners, so people that have never ran before, you know, completely new to exercise. Have you come across any success stories that have stuck in your head over the years?
There's a few. All the beginners groups are great because seeing people come from not being able to run and then finish off a 5k and they may never run again, and we do get that, but we see all sorts, from people who still are not competent runners, and I'd say competent, and that's a horrible thing to say, but I mean, don't trust their own abilities and things, that want to do something special. So there's a lady who runs Park Run in our running group, not a brilliant runner by her own description, but wanted to raise money for the charity that looked after her grandfather before he passed away. Entered the London Marathon not thinking she'd get a place, and then got a place. So straight from struggling to run 5k and then putting that work and that effort in and all the nights training to go in and then do London, just to have us all film the bits where we see it on the telly as well. So that, and then we've had leaders that go through to good runners, not good runners, that come through and really get the buzz for it and really understand why I do this. They feel that same buzz getting beginners to go and to move. And then go on to lead themselves, so take the same route as I have and beyond. One of our leaders done that and then went on to do ultra marathon, so doing 100k over 2 days and things like that. Wow. So there's some really inspirational stories, as well as people who just turn up every week for a run and a chat just to get their time. It's all about getting us out. So.
Brilliant, cool. And so for someone that came along to a jogging group or was starting Couch to 5k on their own, what would their week one look like if they were doing it completely on their own or with a group? A Couch to 5k, how much running would they be expected to do?
Week one, not a lot. So it's about getting your body used to moving a bit quicker and building it up very slowly. The Couch to 5k plans are really good, and there's a lot out there. We have one we prefer to use, but NHS have them. You can find them all over the place. But it's about gradually building up so that it's not so much of a shock that you don't get it running and have to think, I've got to run for 45 minutes to start off with. So nice and gently. If you're on your own, just follow what he says to do. If you're with a group, there'll be someone, you know, it's very easy to do it together, sort of egg each other on, keep each other going. Or if you're doing it in a led group, like one of the Jogging Fans groups, there'll be someone who knows what they're doing, just to try and encourage you to get on. But doing it as a group, doing it as a solo, it's all good.
Okay, so Matt, you've now got about eight years running under your belt now. So what is, if anything, what do you know now that you wish you'd known as a beginner?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think back to our group as well, where we had right early on, and it's something we see now, is reflects in every group, the fear of what's coming next week in the group. So we work to a strict plan. I say strict, we can modify, but we work to a plan. We know what we're doing one week, and then we'll up the minutes and maybe the intervals the next week and things like that. But people, there's a fear of, well, I've really struggled this week. So what am I going to do next week? If I know what it is and it sounds too bad, I won't turn up. Yeah. And then you're always thinking about what it's going to be. I'd like to be able to go back now and say to myself, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know,
you'll cope with it.
These people know what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is why you get people like experienced runners and people who've done it before to do it. Yeah. It's a written plan. Have a little faith. You know, it'll be okay. They won't ask you to do anything you won't be able to do. And as long as you get that practice in, and that's key. So get the practice in, you'll be all right. Yeah. And there's not a lot else really, but the one thing I think, and probably applies to beginners as well, is legs. You start, as the more you run, things start to hurt, and you put you down to new exercise and not knowing these things. And we often hear terms of, I've got shin splints and things like that. Yeah. But it's understanding your leg is a machine as a whole. So if you have a tight calf, you will probably start getting knee pain because your calf is so tight it has no flexibility. Your knee starts to take that load. So and then we teach stretches, but there are so many more stretches and so many other things we could teach. So I wish I'd known more about that. So foam roller and exercises for a foam roller. We all hate foam rollers as runners, but they're really important. So foam rollers, lots of stretches, and also maybe other exercises. So things that supplement your running. So conditioning things, maybe Pilates or yoga or anything that works on your core as well. So I wish I'd known that back then as well. It sounds like a lot to take in, but as you start to run more, these are the things you learn. And if I'd known them back then, I think probably I could have taken better care of myself.
They would have helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you could give any advice to new beginners? What would it be? What would your best advice be?
I think there's a lot of things, and a lot of these you'll learn. But I think for ease of learning to run or learning to jog, then a group. If you can do it in a group or with a friend or a couple of friends, it's much easier to keep going than doing it on your own. We find when you run on your own, that little voice gets in your head, I can't do this, or I feel really out of breath. When you run with a group, it tends to be more social. You talk, you manage your pace better, and you egg each other on. You're more likely to go out if there's a few of you trying to get out. So groups, if you can do a group, we have lots of local groups in Northamptonshire, which is great. Or go along to Park Run. You'll probably find runners that are the same pace as you that you can get talking to, or you'll see week in, week out, and arrange to go outside and things like that. So try and get out with somebody else. It makes it easier. And then as you go on, there's other things. I think we see a fear of being last. So, people need to understand that when you start running, a lot of these runners have been running for years and from school and proper athletics clubs and get out 2 or 3 times a week, if not more. So your competition's against yourself, so that you need to understand that as well, that we're not going to train Olympic athletes. Yeah. So not 40 or 45, whatever age you are. So get out, just do it for yourself. Don't worry too much about your times and what everybody else is doing. And even to enter events, because there's such a buzz comes from a running event, and they're so supportive. Even of the people who come in last, second to last, go. Don't be scared of trying new things, I'd say. So enter events, don't worry about it, just go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Before you know it, you get the buzz for it, don't you?
You do. You understand why these people get up at that time in the morning and go running for it. So yeah,
for that shiny medal.
Yeah, we do it for the medals. Yeah.
So one thing that always comes up with beginners and starting running, and I think sometimes puts people off, is the kit. Any expectations, or thinking that they need to have the right gear and some fancy trainers, and what would you say to that?
For beginners, a good pair of trainers. A good pair of trainers, I'd say. Yeah.
Just some comfy trainers.
A pair of tracky bottoms and a t-shirt, or a pair of shorts if it's summer, a hoodie. You're going to get sweaty. You're probably going to get rained on. To start off with, now just a good pair of trainers. Nothing too old, too knackered. If you can get something new and a bit broken in to start off with. And then as you progress, if running something you want to do, then you can go and look at get fit for a pair of running shoes, which is quite expensive, but almost, if you're going to do a lot of miles, one of the things you should be doing is getting a decent pair of running shoes. But to start off with, no, just a good pair of shoes, good pair of trainers.
You don't need to spend a lot of money then,
You don't. And you enter a lot of races, you get race t-shirts, you pick up shorts, whatever you feel comfy in. Some people always wear leggings and a big jumper, or whatever. You're going to gain stuff as you run anyway, so and you'll see long sleeve tops, short sleeve tops. The more you run in the winter, you'll want woolly hats and things like that. You'll pick it up as you go along, but not to start. A good pair of trainers, and that'll do you.
Thank you. So that concludes our interview with Matt on where to start with running. Hopefully it's given you a bit of advice and a bit of a starter if it's something that you're keen to get started with. So thank you, Matt.
No worries.
And for any more information, if you go to www.northamptonshiresport.org.